everyone. I'm Katey Rich, and today is our last Prestige Junkie podcast of the year. For the occasion, I have gathered with me my colleagues, Chris Rosen and Richard Rushfield. We're going to share our top 10 movies of the year. That's 30 movies, maybe fewer than that. There'll probably be overlap, but we're going to try to do it fast. Richard and Chris, thank you guys so much for being here for this little experiment with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a big day.
It's the day we wait all year for.
People have been standing outside the offices waiting for me to unveil my list here.
It's finally time. And then stick around after you hear our top 10s. You'll hear my conversation with Amy Madigan, the star of Weapons, who is just really on this incredible run in her career, has a great performance in that movie. You don't want to miss it. But for now, I'm Katey Rich. This is the Prestige Junkie Podcast. Chris and Richard, how hard a time did you guys have writing down your top 10 list? I struggled with mine, I gotta admit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there were like 3 maybe that were locks, and then there were like 15 others that were like, take them or leave them.
I keep everything on Letterboxd. I keep like a running list on my Letterboxd. And
so
the problem
for anyone following your Letterboxd has been spoiled on how this is going to go already.
But I always change it, and then I always look at it and be like, well, I gave this like 4 stars, but I really kind of like this 3.5 star movie better, and then should I move it up? And then I'll change the thing, which is a long way of saying it's not easy. And this year, especially, like to Richard's point, I think there was like a few movies where I was like, these are great, and then everything else I felt like was okay.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like figuring out where I want to put what levels of the okay they would go into.
I feel like there's a lot of great movies. Like it's not like I think all of these are like all-time masterpieces, but I've been arguing forever that this is a great Oscar race. And I think especially when you start getting to the top 5, it's just like banger after banger to me.
It's like A- B plus after A B plus. So,
I mean, that feels like high praise coming from you, Richard. I'll take that. And Richard, I remember from when we did our top 10s last year that you kind of curveballed over and over again with your list. So I'm very excited to see what you've got in store. And I'm going to let you do the honors of kicking us off with your number 10.
Well, I want to put some parameters on it. I want to say, first of all, there's a bunch of movies I still haven't seen. So Marty Supreme, I haven't seen yet. If this was an accident, what do you call it? If this
was
was
just an accident.
I didn't get to them under the wire. So
we'll let you come redo it in January and February.
One at my number 10 spot, you're on notice that you might get bumped by Marty Supreme. So don't get too comfortable there. So thinking of how to do it, I always try to just do what has stayed with me the most of this year. And some films get bigger in the rearview mirror, and some get smaller and shrink away, and you can't even remember you saw them. But so I really trying not to sort out, the director did this innovative thing as much as what are the films that haunt my dreams.
It's a personal list. That's the whole point. Your top 10 has to be different from anybody else's.
It is, and no one can take it away from me. Okay, all that said, in the number 10 spot, saw it in Toronto, didn't get a real theatrical release, but it should have. Peter Greenaway's Lost Bus.
So disrespected in this awards race.
That was a real cinematic experience. It's a tragedy that wasn't released on the screen. And
wait, let me obnoxiously correct you. I think you meant Paul Greengrass. You said Peter Greenaway, which is a very similar name.
Peter
to be
Greenfield, fair. Also Greenway, the cook, the wife, the architect, and his came back and directed. Yeah.
Wait, Chris, did you see The Lost Bus in Toronto? I still haven't seen it, I have to admit.
I haven't seen it yet either, but I will watch it. It's on Apple TV right now, and I know Strategy reached out to us to say, hey, they're going to send us screener links. So,
yeah, it made the Oscar
fun.
Visual Effects shortlist. Good for them. All right, Chris, what's your number 10?
I actually tried to do a similar thing with my number 10. It's not The Lost Bus, but I was thinking of like movies they don't make anymore, and I just watched this recently on Netflix, but it was a theatrical movie that completely went away with nothing. It's Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing,
it's on
which
Netflix
I thought
now.
was an absolute blast. It's definitely the only time you could ever say Darren Aronofsky made a watchable, enjoyable movie, because I don't think he has done either of those things in his career. But yeah, this was like just a full on, it's a 90s period piece that might as well have come out in 1997 or 1998. It's less glib than like the rip-off Tarantino stuff that you would have seen in that era. I found it like pretty formidable. I thought Austin Butler was awesome in it, and it's just a lot of fun, a lot of character actors chewing scenery. Yeah, it's a total blast. So I was like, let's put this at number 10, even though it's recency bias because I just watched it. But of all these, like this year, I felt like you had like a lot of like favorite auteurs doing crime movies. Like obviously Spike Lee did Highest to Lowest, and you had the Coen, which was it Ethan Coen did Honey Don't, or is it Joel Coen?
No, Joel's
Coen?
got his movie coming next year.
Certainly not the best, I would say, Honey Don't, but I was like, this one was actually really good, and I it greatly enjoyed it. And there's some really good 90s music cues, and yeah, like I finally got Austin Butler. It took me this long, but I finally got him.
Congrats. I still haven't seen that one either. I know you guys are making me feel like I got my work cut out for me. Richard, did you see Cut Stealing?
I did see it. Yeah, I liked it. It's fun. I have nothing bad to say about it. It didn't quite make my list, but I'm definitely an Austin Butler fan. I'm on board with him 100%. So.
I like the idea of using the 10 spot to do a fun one, which I kind of did for this one. I don't think a huge surprise. I went with Weapons. One of the best theatrical experiences I had all year, where I was pretty unspoiled on what was coming. I guess I knew that people were freaking out about Amy Madigan, but didn't really understand how she was in the movie. You'll hear from her later. Her performance is such a stand-up, but also this really clever structure, the winding back on itself. Like, I've really been hoping Weapons gets in the screenplay race because of how well Zach Cregger structured that story. It's got, like, Julia Garner's wonderful in it. Josh Brolin, between that and Wake Up Dead Man, is having this great year. And the way that it taps into this incredibly dark fear and then has you laughing by the end of it is such a tonal masterpiece. It's such an exciting arrival for Zach Cregger. I know people really loved Barbarian, which I never saw, but I just was so delighted that this movie exists and that it became such a big hit this year, and felt like I should make room for it.
I have it number 6 on my list.
Okay.
I loved it too. I thought it was one of the best movies of the year as well. Total blast. I thought everything you said is right. I do think there's an interesting subtext to the movie about like both of you guys, I feel like, love the generational warfare that we've been undergoing in our lives. And I feel like Weapons is literally all about that, in terms of like, you have the boomers refusing to go away and actually sucking the life out of the under generations. You have the Gen X and millennials just totally incapable of doing anything about it. And then it ends, I mean, not to spoil it, but it made a lot of money. But it ends with the Gen Alpha basically tearing apart the boomers, literally. And I'm just like, this is great. I just think the movie is like really great. So I was all in on this as well.
Yeah.
Didn't see it, unfortunately. So too scary for me. So
it was scary for me, but I powered through, and I was glad I did. Richard, what's your number 9?
Number 9 is Song Sung Blue.
Oh, love Song Sung Blue.
Craig Brewer's look at adaptation of a documentary, actually, about a Neil Diamond tribute, husband and wife tribute band, sort of working class band. Make you believe in the power of song to change and uplift your life. It was a really touching and beautiful film.
Craig Brewer is so good at those underdog stories. I know you just talked to him on the Rushfield lunch, Richard, but he's just got such a gift with like making a movie about something you don't think you're going to care about. And then by the end of it, like, you will lay your life on the line for these Neil Diamond cover band people, or Dolomite Is My Name, or Hustle and Flow, all these things. He's really good at that.
Well, he makes you, these people, who have these kind of dreams that seem kind of crazy or ridiculous, and the intensity of their belief in them and how much it changes them, that you just come to believe in those dreams and root for them so much by the end of these films.
Yeah. Chris, you've seen it already, right?
Not yet, but I gotta say, if I did see it, I'm sure it would have been on my list, because that looks like the kind of thing I would love.
It does seem like the kind of thing you would love.
Well, like Richard's saying, like, Caught Stealing, we'll readjust maybe once we see some of these movies.
All right, well, we'll add an addendum to this episode. Yep. All right, Chris, what's your number 9 with an asterisk, because you haven't seen Song Sung Blue yet? I
have not seen Song Sung Blue, but I did see a movie that came out in January called Companion, which I absolutely loved. Another genre movie done incredibly well, that is about an AI sex robot, basically, who does not realize that she is a sex robot until about like the first act is over. It is a lot of fun, and I thought it's Sophie Thatcher is the lead with Jack Quaid, right? Isn't it Jack Quaid? Dennis Quaid, and
yes.
And Sophie Thatcher, I just thought was so great. It's like a really, really terrific horror movie performance, and it's got like a fun little sci-fi thing to it too. And yeah, I just was like way in. And my biggest complaint about this movie, and it's kind of stuck with me all year because I just enjoyed it so much. My biggest complaint is that the trailer kind of gave away the twist that she is a robot, because I think if you would have watched this movie cold without knowing the twist, it would have been, people would have like really been talking about it kind of like Weapons style, because remember Weapons, they didn't give away any of the twists in the marketing. And this is also a Warner Brothers movie, or New Line, I guess. But yeah, they did give away the twist in this a little bit. That still said, I thought it was great fun. I highly recommend this movie.
Is it too scary for
That was
me?
a very well done movie.
So that wasn't too scary for you, Richard?
It's more of a thriller, I would argue.
Yeah,
Richard,
okay.
would you agree? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a monster movie
No.
per se. So.
All right. Well, you guys are going to make me the art housey one on this one, because for number 9, I went with On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, a movie
Nice.
I first saw in Toronto in 2024. It got released by A24 in the spring, but really it feels like it kind of slipped through the cracks. It was not selected from its home country, Zambia, for the international feature race, and it just kind of kneecapped it in a way. But it's such a fascinating movie. It's a family drama. It's set in Zambia. It's got obviously this element for American viewers where we've never seen anything quite like this, but we've all seen movies about family gathering in a place and dealing with each other and unearthing old secrets. In this case, it's for a funeral of an uncle of this big extended family who has a complicated relationship with the, especially the women in his family. Rungano Nyoni is the director of it, and then Susan Chardy is the star, and I just really would love to see her in more stuff. She's such a captivating presence as kind of the main character in this movie, dealing with everyone in her family. And it has this, the title is not exactly literal, but is not literal. And the way that it kind of incorporates that and turns from realism to kind of touches of surrealism is so fascinating. And again, kind of like Weapons, you watch something shift tones like that and you've seen it done badly so many times. So when you see someone pull it off, you're like, that's a real filmmaker right there. So I really want more people to see this. I'm sure it's streaming places by now. So if you haven't gotten to it yet, people should check it out. Chris, did you see it, or you saw
I
the
didn't
title?
see it, but
Okay.
I know about it because of you, because you wrote about it so eloquently in one of your earlier newsletters this year.
Keep yapping about it.
Keep yapping about it,
Yeah.
because I think that's great.
You got it. Richard, we're on to your number 8.
Number 8. Let's see what we have here. I'm joining you in our art house land. Kristen Stewart's directorial debut, Chronology of Water.
There we go.
Which is about as arty as you get, but a story of a young woman, a swimmer and a writer, overcoming an abusive childhood. Fun for the whole family, as they say. But it's a very fragmented narrative, sort of seen through the way she processes the world, which is filtered by trauma, and just a really assured directorial debut from Kristen Stewart, and really interestingly done film with great performances throughout, including Jim Belushi as Ken Kesey, the surprising
As actual Ken Kesey?
Yes,
I don't think I knew that. Wow.
who was the mentor of the writer that this is based on. So, surprise cameo of the year. Not a surprise anymore if you haven't seen it, but
It is so exciting to see Kristen Stewart kind of emerge into her own, having been working in the industry for so long. Like, that's just always a good way for a long career to turn.
yeah. Well, I hope this film gets some attention in the season here in the end, because it deserves it.
Yeah. Chris, your number 8.
I feel like I'm just going to be the most basic person
Don't
here
worry.
with no art house, but I have another one that I was like, you're going to laugh at me, Katey. I know. I really liked it at Telluride. I'm still going to put it on my list. Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. I just enjoyed this
Stand
movie.
by
I
your
cannot.
man, Chris.
When I saw it at Telluride, I was like, I really like that. And I walked out and everybody was like, that was not great. And I was like, man, I kind of liked it. And then I watched it again with my friends in the movies, and I was like, I think that's a pretty good movie. It has, obviously, I could see the flaws. I think it has 5 different endings, when maybe 2 or 3 would probably suffice. And, it's a little overwrought and very, very deadly serious. And that said, I still thought it was really good. I enjoyed the process of showing them making the music. And yeah, it reminded me a little of like Good Will Hunting, not nearly as entertaining, but that's the type of vibe I got more than like a music biopic. So that's why I was like, it stuck with me all year. I'm going to stick with Springsteen.
Do you
me ask you,
defend... go ahead.
If this movie had been set in Delaware about one of Delaware's great musicians. Where would it be on your list?
Maybe like 15.
So, all right.
Do you defend whichever gummer it is who nods her way through all of her scenes?
No, all of that is all. I have no. Any of the critiques are sitting there with the teacup. Like, what are we doing here? But to butcher the movie, but on this podcast, we believe in Bruce Springsteen.
It's true. I do firmly. Like I saw it at New York Film Festival. Bruce came out on stage afterward and sang a song on his guitar. Like I'm not made of stone. I can't resist something like that. And I do think Jeremy Allen White is genuinely great in it. And I'm not sure it's his Oscar year, but I think it's it's good evidence of what he can do beyond the bear, I think.
I liked it too. I'm not. It didn't make my list, but I thought it was. The thing about a Bruce bio is Bruce's career was pretty unobstructed. Sort of an overnight sensation, and then kind of just didn't stop. And this is kind of like the one moment of sort of introspection in that career. So it's not your standard behind the music drug meltdown or anything, but it was interesting.
He just goes to therapy.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more art house picks before I promise I get a little bit more fun. But Kelly Reichardt has been my person forever. I think First Cow was my favorite movie of 2020. Showing Up a couple years ago was also wonderful. And The Mastermind I don't think is my top Kelly Reichardt, but as anyone who listens to this know, Josh O'Connor's been on a heater. I've been right there for it. He is wonderful in this movie. That is just kind of this shaggy sort of a crime movie, but not really about a mastermind, about a guy who's kind of a bad amateur art thief. It's like all these perfect details of its 70s setting. Just when you think you've seen everyone in the movie, Gabby Hoffman and John Magaro show up and you're so happy to see them. And I like how it's active and lively in the way that a lot of Kelly Reichardt movies can be really quiet and introspective, but it doesn't feel like a change of tone. It feels like perfectly aligned with the world of movies that she set up before. I don't know that it's going to like bring in new people to the Kelly Reichardt world, but I thought this was a really great addition to everything she's been making over the last 15 years. Anybody else seen it?
I have not seen it yet. I will. I know it's streaming now on Mubi. You can watch it if you have a Mubi subscription.
Good.
My big note of Mastermind this year is a lot of people love it, including you. And like I've heard people tell tale of how great it is. And I know it was one of the funnier film stories this year was that they have, I guess AMC does their like secret movies on Tuesdays or whatever that is, right? Where you could go. You don't know what it is, and you get a ticket, and it's usually some horror movie or something. And they did that with The Mastermind, and people revolted in like the Reddit threads and on this. It was like they were like, "What the hell is this movie?" Something with a ladder, Katey. I didn't even see this movie yet.
There's an extended sequence with a ladder,
and it just was like people were losing their minds because they're an AMC, AMC guy or gal who was like used to whatever Blumhouse movie they're going to get a preview of, and instead it's Kelly Reichardt.
Kelly Reichardt is teaching you to watch movies differently. She is teaching you to adjust your expectations. And everyone needs to sit down in her class and learn. So get it together, AMC. I got to look this up. That's great, Chris.
Haven't seen it also, but want to.
We're learning things from each other here. Okay, Richard, we're on to your number 7 then.
Where it finally landed up on the list, it was bound to end up somewhere, but it ends up in the 7th spot. One Battle After Another, which probably will hear more about. So I'll save that for one of you who has it in a higher position than I do.
Bold assumption, Richard, that we would have One Battle After Another on our list. Can't believe you would say that.
Here, a week after I saw it, it probably would have been my number 1 movie. There's a part of me that it's a great rollicking adventure, but the half of it that is trying to be more than just an adventure kind of doesn't quite work for me, particularly when it tries to be funny.
Wow.
So that's
okay. All right, Chris, we're gonna have to defend our Christmas adventures.
That's fine. It's funny, like hearing Richard talk about this because I'm like I feel the same way. And my number 7, I feel like will also be higher for you guys. Is that we're up to number 7, right?
Yeah.
Mine is Sinners at 7. So we could wait on that too. But I was like, I agree with in terms of all of these movies, I thought were really good and then slightly off in not as good as I would have hoped. But that said, I think Sinners is really entertaining and a lot of fun. I felt like it's best viewed to me as like, I still think about it this way, like Ryan Coogler's response to making movies for Marvel. And I think it's like the most fun to think about it in that frame. and it's just a great time at the movies. And while I have quibbles with certain things that happen, I think overall it's a great experience, and I love all the performances. So I put it at 7 for me, but I'm sure it's going to be higher on maybe one or both of your lists.
So is Marvel the vampires or the Klansmen in this metaphor?
Well, I think Marvel is probably maybe both. I'm not sure. I do think it's interesting. The who is the Remick character? I find
Jack
like
O'Connell,
fascinating.
yeah.
I think he's a really interesting character to be like that kind of like, oh, I'm seducing you with like, is that the Marvel? Like seducing you with the idea that we're all going to be the same and it's great, but really we have these ulterior motives, right? Like I found all of that like really fascinating. And then it's also just a fun vampire movie. And that said, though, I still think I liked From Dusk Till Dawn a little more in terms of its vampire movie as like accoutrements. So that makes me a lunatic, but there you go.
Well, if you want to talk about the monsters and mythical creatures that you prefer, number 7 on my list is K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh, nice.
You
I have that higher.
I had to do it. I really knew it was going to be on your list, Chris. I mean, I have watched this movie more than any of the others that we're going to talk about because I have children. I went and saw it in the theaters, which was an absolute blast. And it just holds up. It's one of those kind of, I mean, it's an animated movie where you can maybe sense that like, oh, there was a version of this where the mom character kind of didn't feel like this vestigial limb, but it feels really ironclad in the way that it has these 3 central characters, the way that it has Rumi and her struggles and accepting herself in this pretty sweet romance with this member of the boy band. And then the songs are just bangers, like every single one of them. There's not been a movie song accomplishment like this in terms of the amount of songs and how good they all are. I can't even think of like Beauty and the Beast, maybe.
I have it much higher on my list, not at 1, but close. And I would just say all that is true. And I think it is, I was blown. I think it's like such a great, it reminded me honestly of like The Matrix. And maybe that is like a stupid thing to say, but I do think it feels like it's like, oh, it just created this incredible world with like very little like, entrenched IP obviously, but like, just like, it just is like, hey, this is the world. They lay out the stakes very quickly and you kind of understand it and they trust the audience to go along with it. And I just found it like, I've seen it also like 5 times. I actually like it more than my daughter for sure. Like I love it. I think it's great. I'm making her watch it at this point.
I think my kids are over it, but they've moved on and I will never will. I mean, you think about things like the derpy tiger and the bird who are like these symbols from the other world and they kind of work for the demons and they kind of don't, and they're cute but they don't say anything and they're just part of this story, and people have latched onto them without it ever being this explicit like talking animal or here's what it means. Like there's depth to it. There's a boldness with the storytelling that I think it deserves more credit for, although it's a huge hit. It's getting plenty of credit, so I don't worry too much about it. Richard, where did you land on K-pop Demon Hunters? Did it become part of your life this year?
I support the movement. I'm behind it. I never actually got myself to sit down and watch it. So,
well, your children's demographic is just not quite in the pocket the way ours were.
It was on in my household. I was doing other things apparently. So.
You were watching one battle after another. All right, Richard, we're up to your number 6.
Also saw this at Sundance. This was a great one because I was one of those Sundance ones that I went into knowing nothing about it except it had a very hard to remember title, and it was if I had my legs, I would kick you with them, or whatever you call it. There's like a mini genre that's come together this year of sort of newborn mothers losing their mind. You've got this, Die My Love, and Night Bitch, which I think comprises a genre. I would say this is the best of the 3, and was they're all good movies, but incredible performance. Really just takes you to dark and crazy places, and was my best film of Sundance this year, and just really liked it.
I should have put that on my list. I really loved that movie also. And
yeah,
just
you
did
should
not.
have.
I know. I did not find the spot for it, but I do support women and mothers, I promise.
Yeah. It's good. I didn't have it on my list either. And I agree with Richard, in this subgenre of movies, it is definitely the most successful to me. I think it's really great. And Rose Byrne is fantastic in it. So.
Die My Love just missed my list.
Wow. I prefer this one to Die My Love a lot. But it's also seeing Rose Byrne get all this attention and like kind of, it seems like she's definitely going to get an Oscar nomination for this, when for such a long time it felt kind of on the bubble, is great news. I'm so glad that it's happening that way. All right, Chris, what did you put on your list at number 6 instead of If I Had
I had
Legs, I'd Kick
Weapons
You?
at 6, so
Okay.
we already went over Weapons, but
further?
I think it's great. I love the movie. I thought it was great.
Who's your non-Amy Madigan standout in that movie?
Oh, Julia Garner by far. I think she's awesome. I love her performance in it. I actually think she's like very underrated in it. And it's really great. And I just love the storytelling of the movie. Like you said, the script is so great, and kind of like you are left wanting more of all the characters, which I found like a pro, not a con.
Yep. All right, well, I went back to the art house a little bit at number 6, and I had to stick with The Testament of Anne Lee, which I saw in Toronto. I loved The Brutalist so much last year. I was really going to be in the tank for this movie already. I think I lined up an hour early for the press screening in Toronto. And as I said at the time, may have said on the show, it's the most men I've ever seen in line for a movie with a woman's name in the title. So the Brutalist bros are eating well this year. It's sort of like The Brutalist and sort of not. Mona Fastvold is directing. Brady Corbet co-wrote it with her. The music in it is really astonishing and weird, and the entire time you kind of don't know where you're headed and can't find your footing in this strange world. But then it kind of reveals itself as a pretty traditional biopic of Anne Lee, who founded the Shakers. And I think the way that it uses that traditional format to take these big risks with the song, with Amanda Seyfried's performance, and this character who is convinced that she is a messenger of God and she's married to Jesus, and that the solution for humanity is to not have sex anymore and move to America, and gets all these people to follow her. You go along with it. You kind of believe it because Amanda Seyfried is so great, and because, Mona Fastvold has created this world around her. And this music, like watching this ecstatic movement that these Shakers have, you're like, oh, their lives otherwise were so miserable. Of course they would all find refuge in this and getting to dance and beat their chests and scream and let it all out. So kind of made me want to be a Shaker and see more of that furniture that they make at the end there. And I don't know how this is going to do award season wise. I'm a little concerned about it, but I will continue to love it no matter what.
I haven't seen it. Went to college in Shaker country and really admired their round barns. Was great.
You get some round barns. You get some chairs in the end of this movie.
Less a fan of can't keep the furniture on the floor. That seems. I think God wants us to keep our furniture grounded, but
I look forward to your testament, the testament of Richard Rushfield about furniture.
Exactly.
All right, Richard, we are up to your number 5.
Number 5 is I'll say this is a comedy. There would have been 2 comedies on this year. The funniest movie I saw this year is I saw in Toronto, but it's not coming out till next year. So it will be on the 2026 list. Get ready for it.
Which is, are you going to tell us? No?
Nirvana, the band, the movie, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
I thought that might be it.
The funniest movie I saw this year. And you will all be enjoying it and celebrating its high place on my list next year. This year, the funniest movie of the year is Naked Gun, which was laughs throughout. I kind of winced when they announced they were rebooting it, but they did something really fresh and original, and Liam Neeson was shockingly good in the lead role, and the jokes did not stop throughout. So
I had Pamela Anderson on my Critics' Choice Supporting Actress ballot. It didn't get her in, but I stand by it. She's wonderful. They're both incredible in that movie.
Yeah, she's great too.
Do you have a favorite line from Naked Gun that has stuck with you?
No,
Richard?
Jesus, I did, but I can't remember.
I always get back to last time I remember, the only thing that was electric was Catherine Zeta-Jones in Chicago. About the electric car that crashes into the puddle. So
I mean, there's so many lines in that you kind of can't store them in your memory because there's a line every second of the movie. So the great one. So.
Chris, number 5.
Number 5 for me, I have One Battle After Another. So maybe we should wait to talk about it because I'm sure you'll have it higher. But to echo what Richard said, I've watched this movie 3 times.
Wow.
PTA is like my favorite director, one of them. It's certainly in like the top 5. And I just am like, there's something, it's so silly to have it like top 5, like the number 5 movie of the year. And I really enjoyed it. And I've seen it many times. It's just missing something to me that would put it above like Boogie Nights, Magnolia, There Will Be Blood, and even Licorice Pizza, which
K-pop
I was
Demon
really
Hunters.
fond of, or K-pop this year certainly. But I don't know, there's just something missing. That said, obviously you're working with a master filmmaker at like the top of his game. I mean, if it wins a bunch of Oscars, I'm not going to be upset. And I'm a huge fan of The Departed, but I know that's like not as big of a. There are Marty fans who are not the biggest Departed fans, and that's how I feel about this. Where I'm like, I'm happy it's going to go. Probably win a bunch of awards and like be this movie that is very much remembered in a culmination of a career. I just wish I liked it a little more, maybe, but like, there you go. So
Okay, I'll tell you what the problem is.
Tell me what the problem is, Richard.
Part of it. It doesn't know what it wants to say about the central message of the movie, and people are imposing their own messages onto it, but it's really all over the place in what it thinks about revolutionary violence and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. It starts out, she kills somebody, an innocent bystander in a bank, and she feels bad about that, and the movie feels bad about that for about 15 seconds. And then it's like, look at the revolutionary hijinks again. And it's kind of all over the place with that. They don't, it shows that, and they don't, but they don't suffer any kind of psychic consequences, really, about results of what they did. Bob suffers consequences for having to have been on the run, and Sean Penn, harassing him, but there's no like moment of like, yeah, if 20 people got killed when I set that bomb off, maybe
You don't think the psychic consequences are the world not changing? The fact that, 20 years later, the world is more or less what it was, and Sean Penn's still on the move, and...
Yes, but, if I killed a lot of people on the road to the world not changing, I think I'd have some nights where I'd look at my own part in that.
I mean, I would argue you get that from Regina Hall when she comes back into the movie, from the letter you get from Perfidia at the very end. I think
the movie ends. The movie ends with the daughter running off to go get involved in another bank robbery.
You don't know that she's going to go kill people.
She's going to help. She's going to help people who are waving guns around. I mean, it's not an anti-violent message, to be sure.
No.
My take on it is I don't disagree with what Richard is saying. Actually, we're going to talk about One Battle. And Katey, I'm sure you have it at the top or near the top. Don't worry. So that's fine. I do agree with Richard in terms of like, I don't think like PTA's movies, if you go back and like look, like we've actually like a lot of times like, Spielberg and Scorsese, these guys are making like the themes of their movies are very consistent, right? They've been telling the same stories. When you watch Mr. Scorsese, which would probably be at the top of my list if we were doing like this, because I think it's better than everything we've talked about. But like, I do think like, he's been telling the same stories about like faith and nihilism and religion and like and guilt and like all these things forever, right? That is like his thing. And PTA, I feel like you get to see kind of grow up. So he's like, Hard Eight, he's like kind of like, and Boogie Nights, these are like young, like, man at the world type movies. And then Magnolia, it's like him like dealing probably with his father and stuff. And then you get to like There Will Be Blood. And even like, so this one is clearly like, and Licorice Pizza and then One Battle are clearly like him like responding to having young children, right? Like he has teen daughter, like he's married to Maya Rudolph, or are they married actually, or even are they just long-term partners? Who knows?
No telling.
But they have like 4 kids, and like obviously like these are movies that he's making about like that experience. And like the things that work in One Battle to me are like Leo as a dad, like kind of like trying to react to his daughter and not really speaking the same language. But to Richard's point, like all the revolutionary stuff, he doesn't feel equipped to actually tell that story, nor super invested in that story personally or in the movie. And so like it's kind of similar to me. This is an issue I had with like Killers of the Flower Moon, which I feel like is very similar to this movie, where it's like the story that should be told is not being told by the right person. And like, so Scorsese tried to like retrofit Killers of the Flower Moon to be more about like the Osage experience, and like they've obviously talked about to no end. And PTA did a rewrite, I think, on the movie to make it like more like to make it better, and it still didn't really work for me. And the stuff that worked in Killers is the dirtbag crime stuff between like Leo and all those idiots that were trying to get one over on like the Osage and like De Niro, and that stuff's great. And then the rest of the movie kind of doesn't work as well. And that's how I feel about this too. Yeah. That said, it's still there's so much good stuff in it that it's hard to be too critical of it for me. But I'm like,
I think I would have liked it more in the end if it had just tried to be an adventure and didn't strive to tell something bigger that it didn't really know what it wanted to say about. If it just said, okay, here's some ex-revolutionaries and here's a wild chase, through the modern world, and that would have been. I I think it would have been top 3 on my list in that case.
Can I say one more thing with that filibuster?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is too, in terms of like the movie, like you were saying, Katey, like the end of the movie, I found that like, and I thought of this in comparison to Weapons, which I have under it on my list here, whatever. The list is meaningless, but I'm like, in Weapons, I do think there is like an idea that what is the trauma we're putting on the younger generation, and then how are they going to respond? And like in this movie, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know. There's something about it, like the end of this movie where it's like PTA being like, they'll figure it out. And I'm like, that's kind of fucked a little bit, because I'm like, should we still be trying to make it better for the future generations, or should we just give up and let them kind of do it themselves? And I was like, I don't know if this really lands that well. It kind of feels like classic like Gen X white guy like being like, oh well, somebody else will clean this up, right? And in this case it'll be my daughter, I guess. But I'm like, I don't know, that part of it I was like, oh. But and that said, the ending is great, and like obviously the music is great, all this stuff is so good, but when I deeply thought about it more, I was just like not as into it as I wanted to be.
No.
All right, okay, go ahead, Richard.
No, and I'll just say Sean Penn's performance is silly and cartoonish, and the whole Christmas Warriors thing is not funny, and people should stop trying to pretend it is.
Chris, come on! I know you're not going to throw the Christmas Adventures under the bus.
I don't disagree about Sean Penn, but I did enjoy the scene of them all talking when he's talking about like they do that big exposition dump. I did enjoy a little bit. No, when they're in the underground after the pancakes or whatever. Yeah. And obviously, I think Benicio del Toro is fantastic in the movie, and like those scenes are great. And Leo, I do think is like one of the best Leo performances, and it's all this stuff is great. But anyway, it's a number 5 movie for me.
I'm going to save my one battle thoughts for later, as you predicted. Okay. But I do think a lot of what you've been saying made me think of my number 5, which is Sinners. Because I do think there's some muddledness in the messages of that movie as well. Like, I think it is fascinating that these vampires don't represent white supremacy or assimilation or the idea of, lower classes being pitted against each other. It's kind of all of those things. And I think there's a lot of richness to be drawn out of that. But also when it gets to the end and you get that scene with the Klansmen and you get this kind of Rambo moment for Michael B. Jordan to take them on, it feels like this kind of big, obvious button on something that felt kind of thorny and intriguing before that. I love this movie. It is number 5 on my list, as One Battle is on yours. But I do think there's something about it being a little impenetrable and like so glorious and beautiful and filled with incredible performances and like again a wonderful movie-going experience that I had this year. And I give Ryan Coogler a lot of credit for it kind of infusing ideas into something, what he managed to put into the Black Panther movies that I don't think anybody thought a Marvel movie could contain. Like he is really good at that part of it. But I still have questions about Sinners and where it lands and what it's trying to say and what it wants me to come away with. And I think a lot of that's intentional, and I still put it number 5 on my list, I guess. And then that's not really a punishment because it's a great movie. This is kind of all bangers from here on out.
Well, we haven't heard the last of Sinners in
nice.
in this show here. So.
All right. Well, we're up to your number 4, Richard.
Number 4 is just a lovely movie in every way. Roof Man. Mm-hmm. Just a touching story that was really perfectly told, really well acted, uses music beautifully, and the great Kirsten Dunst, long overdue for her Oscar, criminally overdue. But another performance she should get it for. So it's a beautiful movie. It's for the whole family. It's again, this fits in the category of the sorts of movies that they made 20 of these a year not too long ago, and now this is the only one. So, but this is a movie that I would recommend to anybody that I think they would like it.
I really love that movie, and I love Channing Tatum in it also. I think you're right that Kirsten Dunst is kind of the heart of it, but Channing Tatum is just constantly capable of more than he gets credit for. I'm here to ride for Foxcatcher, as I have been for a decade, but 21 Jump Street, everything else. And the two of them together, I would love to see them make 3 more movies together in different places, being different people, because they're really wonderful as a team.
Yeah, there's one scene where she's singing in the choir, and she just looks in his eyes and understands something from his eyes, and their whole relationship changes like without any words or anything. It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah, Chris, number 4.
My number 4, I'll pivot. I'll piggyback on Richard's. Richard, you recently wrote about this. Like maybe 2026 is a time when we bring back humanity, right?
Yes.
And like our art. And so for me, number 4, and I've seen this now 3 times, Wake Up Dead Man. I absolutely love this movie. I think it is truly like one of the most emotional movies I saw this year. I found it like really moving. The idea of what is forgiveness and like what people, all these really great themes of faith and like what do you actually believe and like what is faith actually trying to give a person beyond like just like believing in a higher power or whatever, or not believing, but like what is that at its deepest core? And it's also just a lot of fun. And you have this incredible banger Josh O'Connor movie star performance right at the top. I love this. I think
what
it's
have we been saying about Josh O'Connor? Right, that's all here.
I really do think it's like the best of these Rian Johnson movies by far. And I was like, of all the Netflix movies, K-pop Demon Hunters accepted because I have it slightly higher. I do think it's like far and away the best of the Netflix movies this year. I just thought it was like great. And it's like the filmmaking is great. Like I just think there's so many great things about it. But by the end of the movie, when you see like the mystery kind of resolve and you have these great moments between like Josh O'Connor and I won't spoil like who the main person is, but like it's just really great stuff. I just loved it. So I'm like, that's my number 4.
It came close to my list.
You
guys see it, Richard.
I won't spoil it for you.
Probably
going to
watch this weekend, but
yeah, it came close to my list also for all the same reasons that you said, Chris. That it's got a huge ensemble that it's kind of hard to say that all of them are used that well. Like Josh O'Connor just like runs to the forefront. And I don't mean that as a ding on the movie, because all the things you said about faith and kind of the depth of it really took me by surprise. Like I didn't realize that it had that much on its mind. I wasn't familiar with your game, Rian Johnson, even though I was.
It's funny, like the ensemble, I was talking to one of my friends about it who did not like it as much as me. And he was like, oh, the ensemble doesn't really do anything. And I'm like, they really don't. I can't even argue that they do.
Well,
like,
some
it's
of
like,
them do. But
some of them do,
they
but really
emerge
largely
from the chorus to solve the mystery,
But like it still is, I mean, like the relationship between Josh and Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig, I think is great too. So anyway, it's great. Richard, you watch it and let me know what you think. But it's good.
Yeah. All right, my number 4, here comes Hamnet. Who's ready to talk about this year's Oscar villain? Which I guess kind of became the Oscar villain very early, where Chris showed up on this podcast with Telluride and said, it made me cry, but I resent it for making me cry. And I knew then that the battle lines had been drawn. I saw it in Toronto about a week later, was completely bowled over by it. I saw it a second time at the Middleburg Film Festival, and I was sitting with it kind of thinking like, all right, is this when it becomes my number 1 movie of the year? Am I going to just like lose it for it again? And it's not that it doesn't work on a second go round, but I think its simplicity is kind of really baked in. This is a story about a family. It's a story about death and love and life and a ton of big things, but it's kind of contained in a way that some of these bigger, messier movies aren't, which I think limits it in some ways, but every single beat of this movie just hits so perfectly for me. The way that it makes you think about the beyond and the meaning of your life and your parents and your relationships. And like, I felt like it was such a complete experience. And then that ending in the Globe Theater is just absolutely transportive. Like, it's not just this kind of corny, On the Nature of Daylight is going to get you. It's just about like what art can do and be and how our lives can, turn something awful into something beautiful and eternal in some way, which Chloe Zhao will certainly tell you about. That's kind of how she talks about all her movies, but I thought it translates so beautifully into this. And I, whether or not it's the Oscar villain, like, I don't really care. I just really loved it. And I think when most people sit down with it kind of outside of being told like, oh, this will make you cry and lose your mind, I think it has that power. I think it's working on people outside of all the narratives that are surrounding it.
I don't know. So not a fan of the getting over dead child genre.
It's a robust genre.
General, which is I mean, you want to bring out the waterworks. Like, there's no easier way to hit that to hit that note and get people crying than go to that. Obviously, when you have a gifted actress who is crying about getting over her dead son, that is affecting.
See, this is all the cynicism that I was just saying. The movie is so much bigger than.
I think the material was handled better in Shakespeare in Love.
I love Shakespeare in Love. I will not have any disagreement.
So Shakespeare is sad.
Still
the
sexy
sequel.
in both of them. Yeah. Richard, do you want to go for your number 3?
Number 3 is a very small movie, the smallest movie we've talked about here, but it was kind of crafted towards my interests, so maybe it's cheating. But Richard Linklater's Blue Moon was a movie that really stays with me, about Lorenz Hart, the night of his ex-partner Richard Rogers debuts Oklahoma with a new partner, and all set at Sardi's this one night, largely talking to the bartender, played by Bobby Cannavale. And it just a beautiful evocation of that period, and a figure who was so gifted, but so you could just see why he was so damaged and so limited. And Ethan Hawke's performances for me is the performance of the year. And
he's going to get that Oscar nomination, right, Chris?
Good.
I hope so.
Good.
I think
you
he
think
should.
It's going to happen?
He's great.
Give
I
him
do.
the trophy,
I do think
too.
he will. He could win. I mean, there are people out there who think he would win, Richard. So you're not that far
Okay.
off.
It'd be a very fun twist for the Leo Timmy, Michael B. Jordan battle.
There's no unlike some of these sort of celebrity impersonation performances. There's no surviving footage of Lorenz Hart, so he had to invent this from whole cloth also. So yeah, it's a beautiful film. It's all in one room, but it flies by.
Chris, one of my highlights of the year was definitely watching you interview those guys in Toronto. It was very
that was fun. Richard, I got to talk to Ethan Hawke and Bobby Cannavale and Richard Linklater, and it was very cool. And they were they were good, and the movie's very good. And I feel like on first glance, I was like, why is Richard Linklater making this movie? And then, like you were saying, like I think even though I think Richard Linklater is actually a boomer, but he feels so Gen X because of his bona fides and like the movies he made that are so important to like Gen X. And then like I'm like, that is a very Gen X. The Blue Moon, I feel like, is very much about like not selling out, and like what is the cost of not selling out, right? Like, and all those different things, which I think is fascinating, and it's great. And like I love Bobby Cannavale in it too. I thought he's really great, so it's a good movie.
And for the rest of your life, when you see the title of the play there, you will call it Oklahoma exclamation point.
I'm a big defender of Oklahoma too, so I
love
enjoy
Oklahoma,
drama around that.
What did he say? It's a brilliant film, a brilliant play that is completely fraudulent for every second of it.
Chris, what's your number 3?
Mine was K-pop Demon Hunters at number 3 for me. I just think it's great. I nothing else to say. I thought it was really great. I do think that, yeah, like I'm no doubt like the sequels. I have no faith in anything coming future for this quote unquote franchise, but this as a one-off like type of movie it was just really great. And I think it's like the storytelling is just really strong, like in the way the music is folded in, like you were saying, to make music that is so good and also be so important to the movie. Like I'm not surprised like 4 different songs like charted in the top 10 because they're all really great songs. And if the songs aren't that good, the movie doesn't even work, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like it has to, all this stuff comes together to make it work. Anyway.
Yeah.
K-pop Demon Hunters,
great
number
movie.
3.
Well, back onto Netflix. Here it comes. Choo Choo, Train Dreams, coming in at number 3 on my list. You want to talk about movies that have stuck with you? I watched this at Virtual Sundance in January. It was a real standout then. I mean, it's just such an accomplished kind of epic movie compared to a lot of what you'll see at Sundance, especially if you're watching it on your computer, and has just lingered with me ever since. And we've talked about it a ton, but you know what Clint Metley manages to craft out of this really short story about just a man kind of living his life and kind of the deceptive simplicity of it. It really springboards so well off of what he and Greg Kuidar did together with Sing Sing, which is a movie I also really loved. And the way that it has popped on Netflix, I didn't necessarily expect it. I think it's been a tricky platform for small, delicate indies like this in the past, but it's been so gratifying because I think you can show this movie to just about anybody. There's something to grab onto, and it's got some of that like surprising spirituality, like you were talking about with Wake Up Dead Man, Chris. It's not explicitly about religion, but kind of connecting to something bigger than yourself, which I think is what Hamnet's about too. So I'm just delighted by the way that Train Dreams has stuck around with people, myself included, at number 3.
Yeah.
Richard, did you see this?
Yeah, the other entrant in the being sad about your dead child genre this
I didn't
year.
even know that was part of the plot when I saw it. I came in completely fresh, and it took me by surprise.
I will say I was not interested, just because I'm a total contrarian, and like when people are like, "This is good," I'm going to be like, "Fuck this! I don't think it's going to be good." I avoided Train Dreams for weeks and months, and then I finally watched it, and boy, you were right, Katey. I thought it was just wonderful. I think it's like really great, and while it is a dead kid movie as well in certain ways, I just found a lot of it really powerful, and I think the way the filmmaking I loved the music and the narration I thought was great. Will Patton does the voiceover, right? He's so good, and I love the photography, and it felt like it's a really, really solid movie. I could have put if I wasn't trying to be somewhat cute at the bottom and elevating some genre movies, I could have put Train Dreams on towards the bottom as well, I think, on my list. But it's definitely, if it's not in the top 10, it's like right there for me. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah. All right, let's hustle through our last two, since we've already kept Richard longer than we said we would. Richard, number two.
Number two, we travel to the land of the ice and snow. Sentimental Value, which I'll bet is going to make its way on another list before we're done here. No?
I really kicked it off of my list just because
Katey,
I wanted to.
it.
I know. I love this movie. It's a great pick.
Richard, stump for a sentimental value.
I think it was a perfectly made, perfectly acted family tale that was complex with, about... The metaphor of it is kind of laid out on a platter for you at the beginning. This beautiful house, but it has a crack in the foundation, so you can guess where that goes. But I mean, so beautifully acted by the cast, and just how much these early mistakes they're passed down, they're passed along in a family, and how much they affect you. And again, the power of art to heal and bring it together. So I thought it was
it's a great movie.
It's one of the few on the list that I feel like I'll see many times more before.
Yeah. Chris, you're number two.
My number two is also an international title, but not sentimental value. It is No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook, which absolutely blew me away. I loved it so much. It is such a dark, cynical black comedy, and I just found it. There was stuff in this movie where I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like this before. There's a sequence in the middle of the movie that I was just blown. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but I was just like,
the fight, the very loud record fight scene,
it's
right?
so good. And like through it, it's incredibly funny. I compared it to I always like try to comp things in my head because I'm an idiot. That's how I do it. But I was like, it reminds me of like A Serious Man mixed with Match Point, maybe. And I was like, these are two of my favorite movies, and this is also up there. I thought it was just absolutely awesome. It's a complete banger, top to bottom, and I don't think it's actually going to be like an award, like an Oscar movie, because it's one of Neon's many international titles, and seemingly others have moved ahead. But of these international titles from Neon, I thought it was the best one. So
love No Other Choice. I didn't put it on my list, but toyed with it forever. So I'm glad it's on yours, because I made room for a third Neon movie in a row in my number two spot, which is It Was Just an Accident.
Nice.
Palme d'Or winner. Another weirdly black comedy, which you don't expect, hearing that it's about former political prisoners in Iran, and Jafar Panahi was inspired by his own time as a political prisoner. And it is dark in many ways and very serious, but has this weird road trip vibe. Like, someone I know called it the best remake of Little Miss Sunshine, which is not incorrect. It's a bunch of people in a van driving around the countryside, but has so much more to it than that. And it's fun and so assured. And again, I keep coming back to tone, but being able to pull off a movie that goes in all these different directions and kind of puts your heart in your throat in the final scene. It's just a true master at work. And I think we'll continue talking about it for many months from here on out.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen either of your number two picks, I'm sorry to say.
Well, good, because you made room for sentimental value and we didn't. So, all right, Richard, we're up to your number one. What do we got?
Number one, the best movie of the year. The official result is, I've done the math, I've put it together, and the best movie of 2025 is Sinners. Just a completely original movie like nothing else. A period piece with music and vampires, and the music really raises this up. At least a letter grade and a half for me here, and it just had me with it, and just I never knew where it was going, what was coming, and I felt it that coda at the end did bring it all together for me, and all the unite all the pieces of it, and how much they are haunted by their demons there, the demons that are placed on them, and the demons about what that situation makes them become.
It's the post-credit sequence that should end all other post-credit sequences, because it does it right.
It really is an amazing post credit. Like, I know that's like, I mean, like to think about like putting like one, maybe the best scene. I mean, it's a great movie. Like we all had it on our list.
One of the best
obviously.
scenes in the movie.
One of the best scenes in the movie in the credits is just such a ballsy move, and then to have it be that good and like it's just a really special post credit scene. I agree. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
If Oscar fails to give it Best Picture, it will be have disgraced itself. So
Wow.
let's just put that out there.
Wow.
All right.
Hot take.
Chris, I think I know what your number one's going to be.
Dream big, Katey. Marty Supreme through the fucking roof. No other movie this year. I enjoyed no other movie like this. I have nothing else. It's just I was in it from minute one. I like the Safdies, and I was like, I love Uncut Gems. I think it's like one of the great movies. This feels like obviously very in line with Uncut Gems, but I did find, whereas Uncut Gems is about, I just rewatched it too, Uncut Gems, where Uncut Gems is about a guy who should know better, who keeps making every wrong choice, and you're just watching it like, why is this man such an idiot, and will he please stop? And he won't. And in this movie, by making it like the folly of youth a little bit, I just found it like you're really rooting for him and the confidence he has. Marty, played by Timothée Chalamet. It's like really endearing to have that much confidence, and it's like you only a young person could be that confident, and like to know that he will not be that confident the rest of his life. There's a little tragedy to it, and the way the movie ends, I thought was great, and it's just an absolute blast. Into like what Richard was saying. Man, I had no idea where this movie was going. There's so many scenes. It just is like, what the hell is happening? Like, how is this going to play out? How will this resolve? What would I want it to resolve like? I just loved it so much. I feel like this is like one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, and like will remain at number one for me. So that was my number one.
I like Marty Supreme so much. You guys have probably mentioned a solid 10 movies that I wanted to put on my list and didn't get, which I think means this was a good year in film. Chalamet's performance just really is like lights out. It's him getting out there talking about how he's aspiring for greatness. It's so very Marty Supreme, but also correct. He is tremendous in this, and so much of the stuff surrounding him. I really can't wait to see it again. I saw it back in LA like a month ago, and I feel like it will really, really reward a second viewing at some point. Richard, have you seen it?
I have not. I sadly haven't seen it. I feel like it will make my list, my revised list. But
sorry, you said at the beginning you hadn't seen it, but we've been on our epic journey so long I totally forgot.
It's still going.
All right,
another lifetime.
I'll wrap us up quick and say my number one is One Battle After Another, you goons. It is the best American movie of the year and probably of the last several years. And here's my real cop-out. Like, all the things that you say are like messy and undecided about it. Is not America messy and undecided, Richard and Chris? Do you not see the metaphor at work? I don't know if that's really true, but I do think all of the big ideas on its mind are just only assets to it. And in terms of spectacle and confidence and not knowing where it's going to go, I mean, that middle section certainly is the best, where it's, Leo and Benicio and the kids on the roof and all that other stuff. But the way that it goes and expands and brings in all these side characters and maintains that like comic tone and gets funnier and funnier, like I've never seen anything like it. And that alone, I think, elevates this to the number one movie of the year for me. And I'm sorry to say, Richard, I think it is winning Best Picture, which is great for me. And you are welcome to, smelt your Oscars like Sean Penn.
In the end, if a Paul Thomas Anderson film wins Best Picture, I'm not going to be sad about that. So I
think that's a good stance to take. All right, guys, we did it. That's our top 10s for the year. We got in right at an hour. I think that was worth it.
Yeah.
Great, good year for movies. Doesn't getting to the end of this make you feel even more confident that it was a good movie year?
No.
You don't think so, Richard? I was going to be positive and say yes, because I was just like, well, there's a lot of variety here. I think all of these, to what Richard is saying, I think it's a lot of B pluses and A minuses, but that's still like better than like not being B pluses and A minuses.
Yeah, if you look
like,
at the box office top 10, it's certainly better than if you go there. Well, thank you guys for joining me to do this, and listeners, please stick around and listen to my conversation with the star of a movie that made several of our lists. That's Amy Madigan. Now let's hear my conversation with Amy Madigan, who attended the premiere of her new film Weapons over the summer, basically in incognito mode. Even if you knew she was in the film, you go a full hour of watching this movie without ever seeing her. And even when she does show up, you might not recognize her in the bright red wig and intense makeup, not to mention some subtle prosthetics that you might not have even noticed. She's in character as the witchy, truly evil Gladys and became an icon very quickly this summer. Madigan clearly had the time of her life playing Gladys, and now she's on a really improbable award season run for a role in a summertime horror movie. She won the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Supporting Actress, and she's earned Critics' Choice and Golden Globe nominations as well. This is all coming exactly 40 years after Madigan's first Oscar nomination for her supporting turn in Twice in a Lifetime. And as she tells me, she knows enough about this industry not to take any of this for granted. She might not have seen this big moment with Weapons coming, but she tells me that her husband, Ed Harris, did. And she's not giving him credit for any psychic powers just yet, but we'll see. You can hear all of that and much more in my really wonderful conversation with the star of Weapons, Amy Madigan. So a lot of the memes and kind of the attention around Weapons, I think, because you're not on social media, a lot of people would kind of bring it to you and tell you that it was succeeding in this way. And I'm just curious about how when something happens like winning an award from the New York Film Critics Circle, like I hope that news gets to you quicker, that you've been kind of able to follow, some of the acclaim over the past couple of weeks as we're talking about what the performance has been getting.
Well, I have a fantastic manager. Her name is Sandra Chang from Anonymous Content, and props have to go out to her because we've worked together for quite a while, and now she's kind of on overdrive doing this kind of stuff with me. And she's a big supporter, and she's just really fantastic. So she's the one who kind of lets me know. But I tell you, people really find out about that stuff rather quickly, and then boom, 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 the phone is dinging and all that stuff. So when this first all started, and after the opening night, Gladys went boom instantaneously. And then Zach, like the next day, he's over in Europe shooting a film, and he texted me, he goes, "Do you have any idea what's going on?" I said, "No, what?" I thought there was like bad news or something. So anyway, that was kind of my entree, but my daughter kind of lets me know some things too.
Oh, that's helpful. I wanted to ask you about the opening night because you went to the premiere, but I think a lot of people didn't know you were in it and certainly didn't know the extent of the role you were playing. So when you go to the premiere, do you get to kind of like watch Gladys wash over everybody? Do you feel like you can finally reveal the secret? How is that feeling of having that kind of secret up your sleeve?
Well, I had seen the film kind of in a little bit of a rougher form in my house because Zach and I were talking about some things. But seeing it on the screen was kind of an amazing thing. And there were a lot of Zach's fans there. Mm-hmm. So they were really buzzed. But right when it finished, and there was a lot of fans, the audience was really receptive. And then they have this party later on. It's like you go up in this elevator. It's in the same area. And people were kind of looking at me, and I kind of looked kind of nice, my normal self. People weren't really they were a little taken back, people weren't quite sure how to react in one way, which was kind of fun for me. And some people didn't know it was me, which was the ultimate compliment.
Oh, good. I'm glad it feels like the ultimate compliment when you can kind of slide under the radar like that. And I mean, transform yourself, right?
Absolutely. Playing Gladys was completely freeing to me. I didn't have to worry about societal viewpoints of what women look like or how people view you. Gladys thinks she's great and perfect and wonderful. And when I had my whole drag on, it was just very freeing. I'm very confident. So that was really a gift, really, for me. Yeah.
Well, you said that premiere was full of Zach fans, and I think you'd said that you had seen Barbarian well before any of this came along. Like you had kind of clocked his work pretty early. Are you a horror fan, or you just try to watch new movies? Like, what's your usual cadence that brought you to watching Barbarian early?
Well, I grew up with my middle brother, and we were just like kind of horror fan people. But I mean, this is when we were really little. So we watched all the black and white films, all the classics, but we also watched all the Peter Cushing ones and all the Dracula ones and this and that. So we're very familiar with that. I don't see all of them, but I had read about Barbarian, and I had known Zach, not personally, but a little bit from his online presence. So when I checked it out, I went, oh my God, this is really good. This guy knows how to make a movie. You know what I mean? So in that sense, then when I was asked to, would you meet with him? I was just like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, you've been working a lot over just even the last couple of years. And I mean, asking an actor, like, what are you looking for? What are you choosing? Sometimes it's not a matter of choice. But do you feel like when Zach and Weapons came to you that there was something in particular that you did want to do or explore? Or is it just like, this is a great part, I got to do it?
Well, my husband, Ed, had been saying to me when I was kind of having maybe my years, he was very clear about it. He kept saying, you just wait, you're ready, and something's going to happen for you. And and I would be like, yeah, right, But he kind of said it to me a few times. And then when this opportunity came up, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. But when I read it, I knew who Gladys was. I knew immediately that this is something that not only do I want to do, but I have a really clear path to her.
Yeah.
So this kind of happened in a nice way. It really did, Katey.
Yeah. You've got these two films this year with Weapons and Rebuilding, and both with directors who are relatively new, who don't have like some huge body of work behind them. And
Right.
you've talked about getting to know Zach, and I'm curious with Rebuilding as well, with Max, the director of that film. If I don't know if you have a similar process for when you meet a director and say, "I trust you. I'm going to put myself into your hands." I want to like jump on board this ship. Like, do they have anything in common, or do you have kind of a common approach for figuring out your way around directors and knowing that it's worth working with them?
Yeah, that's a good question. To me, it always gets back down to the written word and the script. And I'm very, very oriented to that. Very much so. And I grew up, performing in theater. So it's just what it is. That's why you're all together. So I don't think it's that much different with the film. I know they can change things in the editing room, etc. But it's usually that. And Max's is the true independent film.
Yeah.
Really important. And just reading that, and he asked if I would come aboard, I just thought it was just a lovely story. And the other actors in it were just wonderful. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So it was a tiny film that we did, but people have responded to it. And it makes me feel really, really good. And Max is a wonderful writer-director. And he's going to keep doing stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. Have you ever interviewed him or talked to him?
No,
or anything?
I talked to Josh O'Connor about that film a couple weeks ago, and he had similarly lovely things to say about Max. But I mean, that movie just, Weapons is a miracle in its own way. It's just a movie being made by a studio and being able to do that. But you watch an independent film like Rebuilding, and you're like, you can't believe it exists. It feels so hard to make any movie like this anymore.
Yes, it is. Yes, we know. Money's tight. It always has been, but we have to be. It's interesting because the things we're talking about are original content, not a derivative type of thing. And it's really important to have, unique, different original content. And, that's, I do look for that because I find that often just the most interesting,
Yeah. When you've been making independent films for really your entire career, I mean, from the very beginning, and watching the way that it changes and indie film kind of comes and goes and adapts, like, does it feel like the same world that you started in terms of getting these smaller passion projects off the ground? Is it still the same process, or has it transformed?
I guess there's more people aware of it, and there's more kind of certain studios like an A24 or Neon or something like that.
Yeah.
If you can get into races, they're very open to doing different kinds of stuff. But it's always been hard. It just has. And we know that things are being taken over by conglomerates, and you just hope that some of the money spreads out. But that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But there's some really good indie films out there.
I mean, and there always have been, right?
There always has been. I mean, Sundance is still going strong, and they're relocating. But they've got 90 films that are coming in, and that all the other festivals, all the new films that they have. So it's very exciting,
Yeah.
And there's more festivals, I think, and more opportunity, at least, to get things shown.
Yes. The ability for people to watch things and like access, old movies, new movies, just like keeps increasing, even if it feels like people going to see something in theaters the way they did for Weapons feels like it keeps disappearing on us.
Yes, it does. Well, we'll see what happens with the big mergers that were coming up. Jobs are going to be taken away, and it's a very scary time. We've been dealing with it already. But people have to realize that, the films that we've been talking about, they're original content. That's what people want to see.
Yeah.
And they're excited about it. Not everything has to be watched at home,
Yeah.
and then you can have a life to get your film on a streamer, and then people will see it. So let's have both things.
Yeah.
I'm of that mind.
Rewinding back to weapons, to in another interview you had done about it, you kind of talked about with the kids who you're interacting with, and that you told them that they could like touch your, I think you said your teeth and your ears, like
Yes.
which is so specific. And I'm curious. I have kids. I can kind of picture how that works. So I'm wondering how you learned that is what works to get these kids kind of on your side to do this work together.
Well, these children who are with us, and they were so good, but they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were a little more shy. Some of them were a little more obnoxious and outgoing. But when they first saw me, it's quite a shocking look, in a way. And I had, these creepy little teeth and extensions on my ears and things like that. So I just wanted them to see that it was okay, which they liked that a lot, And then when we get to the end of the film, where I get eviscerated, some of the kids were a little nervous because there was a lot of fake blood around.
Sure.
They really had to jump on me and tear me apart. And I said, well, you know what? Feel this, because you're going to rip this part of my bladder out or something like that. So, one little girl I remember in particular was very nervous about it. But then they all got into it. They just ripped the heck out of me. So, the children were led by Carrie Christopher, and who's a great, great child actor. I shouldn't say he's just an actor. I shouldn't even that way, child. And he really kind of set the tone for all the kids, which was great.
Yeah. I mean, and how does for Zach as a director or anyone else on the set, set up the parameters around a scene like that ending? Because I'm imagining kids in a wrestling match, like you see at every birthday party, but then there's all that fake blood around, and there's all these cameras around. How do you kind of, and you and all the other adults kind of set that up so that it's, the scene can get pulled off the way that it is? Yeah.
Well, we shot it a lot of different angles, a lot of different ways, and had to put parts back together again. Jason Collins was our effects and, prosthetic and dummy person. So he had a lot of work to do. But by that time, we had been working with the children for quite a while.
Yeah.
They were savvy. They knew how important it was. They knew when we're rehearsing, we're getting ready to shoot, that knock it off. And they were very attentive. And then, when the kids get bored, then their head's out of it. So you have to keep it alive. But ripping the body apart, that kept them alive. Yes.
Yeah. No, the amount of focus it takes for any kid to make a movie, I have no idea how.
I know it.
Zach
is incredible with them, and also, the truth be known, we have some kid wranglers. Yeah. Because let's say 30 of them are saying, okay, come over here. It's like when your child first goes to a little circle time when they're a baby, and there's the kid that will not sit in the circle.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of have to still bring the kids. And they were, and they wanted to be there. They really did.
Yeah.
So kind of made it fun for them.
Well, that's
as fun as it can be,
And that's a tone that you get to help set too, right? I mean, you've worked with kids throughout your career, and you've been the new person on a set. You kind of have the option to be like, hey, everybody, come be part of this, as opposed to it feeling intimidating or strange.
Yeah. And those children hadn't been, maybe one or two had been in at some commercial audition or something, but they hadn't been in a movie. So it was, they had a good time, I think.
And the all those prosthetics aspects of Gladys, the tiny things like ears and teeth, all these things that you might not even notice, did that surprise you that was part of the character that way? Because with the wig and the makeup, you've already got so much going on. What did those little things add for being Gladys?
I had, once again, Jason Collins, and we, with Leo Sakovich, who was the makeup designer with Jason, and we had to really decide, I have one strange eyeball, and it's not really a giant thing, but all of a sudden you're like, what? I'm looking at her, and this one eye looks very strange. It looks like a bird of prey or something. Instead of having blacked out teeth, I had these little tiny baby teeth, which actually are very creepy to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're really...
Teeth are weird. Teeth, they get in our brain in a way that other things don't.
But when you see little kid teeth on an adult, it's not a good look. You don't really want to have that, So, And like the earlobes, they were just enough that when I had the turbans on my head, as opposed to the wig, you could notice these things just kind of hanging off my head,
Yeah.
and you were kind of, you realized if you were looking at me, you were kind of looking at my earlobes. So those kinds of things, and my forehead being way,
Mm-hmm.
way back with the wigs that were designed by Meliza West. I mean, we had such an incredible team to create this look. I mean, that took a long time to figure that stuff out. You just don't do that,
Yeah.
and I think it really pays off. I really
Well,
do.
and having that much attention to your character, I mean, as an actor, sometimes you jump into something and someone tells you two things and you just have to go do it. But having like a whole
Ugh.
team crafting it with you, like, I mean, maybe it's pressure, but it also seems like such a gift to be able to have so many things to draw on like that.
It was great because there were a few things that were written in the script that were she has like wild red hair and her makeup is very kind of outlandish and likes bright colors. But then how do you interpret that? And
Yeah.
that took quite a long time to figure that out. And one person would add a piece, and then we'd say, do we like it or not? And Zach would come in, and then we'd say, well, we did like this, but now that it's all together, we don't. It was a real process, and we had, camera tests to see how certain things looked. And we actually did a Zoom yesterday with all the people from hair and makeup and wardrobe. And
Oh, fun.
it's so much fun. So I said, this is your meeting. And so they were talking about it, and I learned so much from them, how they were collaborating, let's say when I wasn't around, as opposed to sitting in the makeup chair, And, I've never really had that experience from the ground up. So it was
Yeah.
pretty special.
Yeah, I was gonna just ask about you having had a long career, having been in so many different kinds of movies. I just can't think of anything that is not just a big movie on the scale, but is so centered around you and transforming you like that. Like to be able
Yeah.
to do something new on film at this point, it's just thrilling that that's possible. I think. I assume you feel the same way.
You use that word thrilling because it is, and people have really responded to Gladys. She's very individual. She's very unique. You haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
And that came from Zach's brain, but then we all had to interpret it. So, in that sense, I've never had a situation like that. And I don't
Yeah.
know, let's be honest, if I'll ever get anything near that. So I have great fondness for all of that procedure.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
she made me think of, and I wonder if this was in your brain, is I had like a great aunt who used to sell beauty products and would wear way too much makeup and had wore crazy earrings. So her ears looked funny, like all that kind of intense slathered on lady makeup thing. And Gladys is a heightened version, but I wondered if any of that was in your brain of a real world version of her and you get to take her up to 11.
Well, Leo Sakovich, who's our the makeup guy, he was saying and also Jason said this when you first go in, he says you kind of do too much, and then you realize
Sure.
you take things back. So when we did things too much, I remember Leo was saying, he goes, "You look like some refugee from Boca Raton, Florida, or something like that," because it was the right idea, but it wasn't really working, So we kind of kept the things we like and had to take that all off and start from the beginning again. So I had a grandma that used to have her girlfriend dye her hair black. And I defy you could have scuff coat shoe polish black that you used as a child, let's say, and that black looked better than the black. I mean, it was so bad, and she just loved it. So, there is that kind of reality to it,
Yeah. There's the weird old relative who comes to your house and
you're
doesn't do this, but
Right.
it's
Yeah,
close to it.
exactly. Or you get caught in their earring and you're like, oh, well,
Yeah. Well, I like the way that you talk about Gladys, people like her and people are drawn to her. And I feel like sometimes you're like, well, she didn't do all these bad things. She had other people do them.
She has an arm's distance. She has other people, she says, I need this done, and has her way of convincing somebody, and they do it.
Yeah.
She knows exactly what she has to do all the time.
Yeah.
Is against the wall. She's very spontaneous. She can really riff. If this isn't working, we're going to try this. I can turn on a dime. I can manipulate you. She's very, very focused woman.
Yeah. Who can't admire someone who could delegate and get all her tasks taken care of?
That's a good point.
But I had that same joy and that same like at the the ending made me laugh so hard. But there's also this like bone deep terror built into this, and I think for a parent specifically, the idea of these parents being incapacitated and the kid having to witness it and be part of it, like I genuinely realized that is the thing I maybe fear more than anything. And I wonder. I mean, did that hit you reading the script, or you can't really tap into it playing Gladys? But I just wonder how that if that was present for you as well, kind of the really elemental terror things that are part of this story too.
Well, as we know, kind of from the beginning, if you have a child and that child is put in jeopardy, you go there.
Yeah.
Your focus goes there. Immediately you go, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have 30 of them, it kind of exponentially grows like that, and Zach was very aware of that, but we didn't want to then abuse that and have the kids be, just a weird situation with them. I mean, it's weird enough that they're in the basement, you know what I mean? But I love it that he wrote that Alex takes care of them.
Yeah.
Feeds them and make sure they're okay. So in that sense, he really balanced it out that way. But I think it's every parent's nightmare in some way, something with their children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was smart in doing that.
Yeah, I think. You guys scared the hell out of a lot of people.
People are like, I don't do horror movies. I don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
But that genre is so elevated, I would say, right now, and has been actually for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And it's nice that people are coming around to it because you can deal with so much subject matter, and it's still the craft, and it's still having a great cast and a great crew and all of that. So that makes me feel good that weapons can kind of be in that category.
Yeah. It sounds like you just see a lot of movies. Like you're really keeping up on basically everything that's coming out. Is that right?
I'm a movie buff. I'm a cinephile. I really love movies. I have since I was a little kid. My parents never really gave me restrictions, so I saw lots of different kinds of movies. When I was growing up, that was not the case.
Yeah.
None of that existed. And there was a movie theater on one end of town. And, I grew up in Chicago, and another theater right next to the train tracks. And we'd go there every week. We would see the movies that were in there, So, and I got very turned on not to that whole experience, and the adult movies were much better than the kid movies at that point. I mean, I don't even know what the kid movies were, except for cartoons or something. So you'd see like, a great Western or something with Richard Widmark and, Gary Cooper or something and be like, this is great. I can do this. I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I heard that early. I just love film. I'm a good audience member. I really am. I want to be transported, Yeah.
Well, it's just such a gift to have something take your attention, and like you don't have to do all the other things. The movies as an escape. It's like the most basic power that they have, that if you let it still happen, it can still happen.
I agree, and we cannot lose that.
Yeah.
Certain powers that be, if they could get rid of all the movie theaters, they'd be so happy and just put all the content right there. They'd be just thrilled about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can never forget that.
Yep. And they would call it all content, not movies. It's just content.
It says right, content. You're like, well, what about the word cinema? How about the word film? Have you ever heard that?
They used to make it on actual film. It's an incredible thing.
What a concept.
Have you, I know you are working and have seen it. Have you seen the movie The Secret Agent, the Brazilian movie?
Oh, that's on my list right now.
It's got these beautiful... he's amazing. It's just got this great old movie palace in it. Like it's such a tribute to like 70s.
I will love that. Yeah. Because I grew up with those big giant theaters in Chicago, right in the city.
Yeah.
It was exciting to go there. And you'd go at noontime on a Saturday. That's what was my focus. Oh, I'm going to go up to the movies.
Yeah.
Kind of regardless of what was there. So, but going back to your question about, do you think that's a good technique with parents and, you're dealing with social media. So when you have children, so you got to police that stuff.
Yeah. But whatever they can find that's on like, the Disney Plus archives, like kids not going to be worse than what they'll find on social media. So go nuts on the movies and just stay off of Instagram.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I feel like that's going to be the tactic. Okay. So as we wrap this up, you're at this point where you're getting this attention, you're getting people calling, everyone you ever know has been in touch. And I assume you're getting a lot of advice and people saying, this is the next move you should make. This is how you take advantage of this. How are you getting good advice? How are you filtering out what is and isn't the right move when you have a moment like this?
Well, as I said, the people that I work with, Sandra, and also have a wonderful agent, Christy Holland. She's over at Paradigm, and they really get me, and they understand what is of value to me and what is not. And I'm not coming up anymore, I'm here at this stage of my career. So it's very important for them to give me good counsel, and for me to pick the right things. And they're always aware. It's like, yeah, but finally, this is going to be your call. And someone asked me like, oh, you must be just getting inundated with scripts and offers. I said, no, that is not the case. That's rarely the case, even when people think that, So, a few people are buzzing around, but, until something's real, it's not real. And I always check out things with my husband, Ed, because he's been doing the same as long as I have. And he knows all about that kind of stuff. And I trust his opinion, And another woman I know who's a real cinephile person. I trust her opinion, but not too many. You don't want too many people yapping at you.
Yeah.
You don't.
Well, what a gift of a 2-actor household, too, where between the two of you, you've probably worked with everybody. You've got, know every executive and producer you want to work with and who not to. So that's good shared knowledge, I think, to have.
But I'll tell you, there's so many people that are new into this business, and I'm not in touch with those people. I don't know who those people are, So sometimes a younger actor will ask some question. Do you know who this person is? And I'll say, no, I don't. I don't know who that is. You know what I mean? But you have to have young people. You have to have people that are young yourself, that you're the lifeblood and you're going to carry on the traditions. They're not just traditions. They're our artwork. It's what we do.
Yeah.
It defines us and we want to keep doing it. So, someone like yourself talking about this in your show is very important, I think.
I appreciate that. Really and sometimes the newer people are Zach Kreger, and it all turns out to pretty well, so it can work out.
And then sometimes it doesn't work out, and you go, "That didn't work." But we all have those.
Yeah. That does it for today's episode. We will be back with another special Saturday episode coming up later this week. And in the meantime, Happy New Year. We'll have a Prestige Junkie after party episode coming up on Friday as well, looking back at the year one last time. Subscribe for just $5 a month. Join us there. We'd love to see you. In the meantime, this podcast is edited by Brett Fuchs and produced by Brett Fuchs and me. Our theme music is by Dave Gonzalez. Thanks again to my co-hosts and fearless colleagues, Richard Rushfield and Chris Rosen, as always. Subscribe to the Prestige Junkie newsletter at theankler.com and subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. We will see you on Saturday. Happy New Year.